This is One-on-One. Mike Schweder is president of AT&T Mid-Atlantic Region. Good to see you, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure having you come in. Listen, there's so many pieces to this story. We're doing this program in late January of 2013. This story will continue, but put things in context. Right after Hurricane Sandy, tremendous impact on your team, your operation. Bedminster is where your global
Network Operations Center is located.
The big impact there was?
Well, we didn't have as much concern there in the building. What we did is we lost lots of power at locations all across New Jersey and obviously into eastern Pennsylvania as well. So over the course of the day or two after that, we were out and we provided over 3,000 generators across the area to bring restoration to that. Over the years, we've done a lot of drills. We do 4 a year. We've done them in New Jersey. We have one coming up in the next few months. We'll be in Hartford, Connecticut to do for the Northeast. And so over the last decade, we've learned a lot of lessons on how to do this. And with this one, we knew it was coming. And we had time to bring in from all over the country the kinds of equipment that we needed to make sure that we could restore the network when it was down and to keep it functioning. So we had those locations there. We also learned that gasoline is pretty important and that you're not going to find that many places and suppliers. We brought those in. We set up our own filling locations in New Jersey so that when we go out to first of all, for employees to go out and do it, but also to the generators to bring fuel. So it's those kinds of things that we were able to get things back up and running to about 90% within the first 3 days, and then shortly after that to 100%.
So interesting. We'll talk about texting a little bit later on because you have this incredible campaign to educate people about the dangers of texting and driving, but this is interesting. We interviewed First Lady in New Jersey, Mary Pat Christie, about the Hurricane Relief Fund that she started up with the governor. And then after that, I told you we had a sit down 1 hour with the governor, Governor Christie at NJ PAC, where both of them made mention of the role of your company. You guys stepped up big time to raise money for the Hurricane Sandy Relief Fund. Describe that very quickly, because they were raising money very quickly outside of the federal government, outside of the government, from corporations, foundations. Talk about that.
Monday after the storm hit, the First Lady called me. And we were able to the next morning make a commitment where we contributed $1 million to that fund. We had already contributed $250,000 to other operations in South Jersey, food banks that we had participated with in the past. And what it really came down to is when we looked at the sheer magnitude of what had happened here, we started doing a lot of different things in addition to just running our network.
Did you do food banks as well?
Well, we ended up giving financial resources to them in South Jersey. When you think about this, when people didn't have electricity, no way to charge their cell phone.
Right.
So we set up those operations all over the state. We went into an agreement with T-Mobile where we would roam at each other's network without any charge or compensation back and forth between those. So we did all those kinds of things. And then strangely enough is what we hadn't really prepared for in any way is that Election Day was a week after that. Well, there were a lot of polling places in New Jersey that were not going to have power, and therefore we're not going to have any way to charge cell phones to be in touch back to Trenton in case there were any concerns. So Thursday before Election Day, they gave us a list, probably about 24 of those, and we put people out in the field to set up charging stations. And as things got better, that number continued to decrease. So by the time we got to Election Day, it was probably only about a handful that needed it. But we were prepared to do whatever needed to be done.
You know, it's interesting, Mike. We've spoken to a lot of corporate executives around the region for the last several months, and we'll continue to do that because the Sandy impact will continue for months and years to come. Real quick, why did you do that? Why the company?
Well, I think obviously we're a significant corporate citizen in New Jersey, and I think that the suffering was not just our customers. You know, we have almost 10,000 employees here in the state of New Jersey.
They were impacted.
They were impacted by this as well. We had lots of people who didn't have power in their homes for 2 or 3 weeks. We had people who were willing, some employees who were willing to invite others to come at least shower in their home who didn't have the opportunity to do that as well. So when we just learned of the magnitude of this, we just figured this was above and beyond what we simply needed to do to keep our customers happy, but to do what we could with the enormous impact.
Shifting gears, this campaign, It Can Wait, boy, texting and driving. Can we take a look at a quick public service announcement spot? You've seen them out there, folks. They are powerful. We'll come back to Mike and talk about it. It's good stuff. Let's take a look.
Two patients involved. Go ahead, shoot.
Mike, why a technology company doing this?
Well, we started the program in 2009. There wasn't a whole lot of interest, quite frankly, in that. In 2012, our chairman, Mr. Stevenson, decided, after we looked at research, that 1 in 3 drivers tells that texting impacts the way they drive. And so it's just more a safety consideration than it was anything else. We've seen this happen far too often in our personal lives. So it's a commitment we made as a company to start this, and we've done it all across the country. In the last 6 months, we've had almost 1.5 million people take the pledge, so they sign up. The movies that we've put together, The Last Text, I've been in high schools where we've presented that. You have an auditorium filled with 1,800 high school students. There isn't a sound in the place as they watch that or afterwards. Just how, when they look at the potential that's there, that they just, to waste lives, and the interviews we have with people on that movie makes a difference. And so it's a real commitment we made, and we're going to redouble what we're doing in 2013 and do that with as many schools as we can across the country.
We have the It Can Wait spot, the website. Go on and find out more. I'll give you 30 seconds on this. The Aspire campaign, the AT&T Aspire campaign, what is it?
It's a program where we looked at the terrible results we have in high school retention and people being ready for work or for college. We've invested $350 million in that across the country. We've worked with schools here in Camden, in Perth Amboy. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel, but we looked for programs that people were running that really made sense, work to the goals that we have, and quite, from a vested interest, we have an interest in what the next workforce is going to look like.
AT&T volunteers are involved.
That's actually right. We've done that. We started a mentoring program within the last 3 or 4 months. We've had job shadowing as well, and we think we're making a difference in that.
That is exactly why we had you here, because we're trying to make a difference, and that's what you're doing, and we applaud you for your efforts. Please come back again. I know you had a 2.5-hour drive from where you are from Pennsylvania, and we thank you for being good corporate citizens.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you, Steve.
Michael Schweder, who is president of AT&T, the Mid-Atlantic Region, we thank you for joining us. Stay with us. One-on-One will continue right after this. Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, working for great public schools for every child, Wells Fargo, the Adler Aphasia Center, PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship. The law firm of Gibbons P.C. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, making healthcare work. And by Bloomfield College, offering small classes and big opportunities since 1868. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. And by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.